Now, what Jesus is saying next is that if you are offering your gift on the altar and you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and first be reconciled to your brother and sister and then come and offer your gift. Now, it seems pretty straightforward what he's saying. Let's take it until here for the moment. The basic point seems when you come and you want to offer something up to God or you want to serve God, first make sure you are reconciled to your brother or sister. First prioritize the relationship that you have with your fellow human beings, with your neighbor, with your brother, and so on, and then come and do your service. Now, the interesting part here is, though, that who is Jesus talking about when you're offering your gift on the altar? And the answer is contrary to what some people seem to believe, or some Christians seem to think, is that the only people who were allowed to offer gifts or to offer sacrifices on altars were priests. So sometimes Christians seem to have this idea that the temple was more of a slaughterhouse, and day and night there was sacrifices being offered and animals being slaughtered. But it could have never been what it was as the holy temple of God if it smelled like a slaughterhouse all the time. So those sacrifices, those gifts were offered up on certain festivals, festival seasons. And the priest who was offering them up, he really had the honor of doing that. It was really a high calling to do that, and an amazing opportunity for them to lead the congregation in worship by offering the gift there. And what Jesus is then saying, if we understand that, is it's making that contrast even bigger. So we can almost imagine the priest who has been selected to do the honor of offering the gift on the altar on the big festival day, and the whole congregation is watching him. And then suddenly he realizes that last week he may have said, you fool, to his brother or sister. Then Jesus said, in that case, the right response for that guy would be to leave the gift right there in front of the congregation, dash off, and first be reconciled to the brother and sister, and then come back and offer the gift. So it is, again, prioritize one another and the love you have for one another, and prioritize the commandment not to offend one another over your service for the temple and your service for God. And the reason for that he's giving now in the next part here is by saying, come to terms quickly with your accuser while you're on the way to court with him. Or your accuser may hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you will be thrown into prison. Truly, I tell you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. Now, what's going on here is, again, he's referring to this idea. If you go to court, okay, and what he means is, if you come before God, you must remember that he is also the judge of the world. So if you think you come to God even with the intention of offering something to him, doing some kind of service for him, but if there is a sin in your life, then that sin will accuse you while you're in front of the judge. Now, you always take your sin with you, it leaches onto you, and if you come before God, your sin accuses you before him. So you must take care of that sin before you come to the judge, because otherwise that sin will hand you over to the judge. In that case, God will see your sin, and you will get what's coming to you as a result of your sin. And then truly I tell you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. In other words, take sin very seriously. This is nothing to joke about. This is not a minor thing. Take very seriously that if there is sin in your life, you need to deal with it. And then again, we saw what he said earlier, even just saying fool, paying the last penny for having said fool to someone is already being thrown into the hell of fire. So there is a payment that sin requires that you and I will never be able to pay. So that last sentence here is a prophetic way, or a way to speak prophetically of Jesus's atonement. Now, his listeners would have not recognized it when he said that, but now we, having read all the Gospels, understanding the cross of Jesus, and now we see that this is what Jesus was already hinting at. We need to take sin very seriously. We need to apply the the maximum principle to every kind of law and understand how bad sin really is, take it seriously, and then understand that we'll never be able to pay that last penny, that we'd never be able to serve God because our sin would always accuse us. And therefore it is Jesus' cross that is the only chance for us to be reconciled to God, to come before him and serve him.